This is a dinner no one should have survived, especially not the boy who was on the menu. For 6 generations, one Greek family ruled from this palace. Kings, queens, heroes of the Trojan War. A murdered son, a rigged race, a brother's revenge, a daughter sacrificed, a king murdered in his own bath. This is the House of Atreus, ancient Greece's most powerful royal family, and the most cursed. Even the gods tried to stop what was coming. They couldn't. It started with one king who thought he was clever enough to test the gods themselves. What he served that day would haunt his bloodline for 500 years. We're not going to tell you what happened yet, because to understand this curse, you need to see how it began and how it never, ever stopped. Long before Mycenae, there was a king named Tantalus, ruler of Lydia, and a personal friend of the gods. The gods invited him to their table on Olympus. No mortal had ever been given that honor. But Tantalus wasn't grateful. He was arrogant, and he decided to test whether the gods were as all-knowing as they claimed. That test would involve his own son, and it would curse every single person who ever carried his blood. Tantalus decided to serve the gods a meal unlike any other. He wanted to see if they were truly all-knowing. He had killed his own son, Pelops, and cooked him to see if the gods would notice.
Only one god didn't notice in time. Demeter, still grieving her missing daughter, took a single bite before the others stopped the meal.
The gods were horrified. Tantalus hadn't just broken a law, he had committed the ultimate crime, killing his own child. As punishment, Tantalus was cast into the underworld, forced to stand in water he could never drink, beneath fruit he could never reach, forever hungry.
This is where we get the word tantalize. But his punishment wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning of the curse.
Out of pity, the gods brought Pelops back to life. But one shoulder, the one Demeter had eaten, could not be restored.
The gods gave him a new shoulder made of ivory. From that day on, every descendant in his bloodline was said to carry a mark of that same curse, visible or not.
Pelops grew up, and he wanted more than his father's ruined legacy. He wanted a kingdom of his own, and a wife. To win her hand, every suitor had to beat her father in a chariot race. Lose, and you died. 18 men had already lost their heads.
So Pelops made a desperate deal. Sabotage the race, it is done. He bribed the king's own chariot driver to sabotage the race. He swapped the linchpin on King Oenomus's chariot wheel with one made of wax.
The race began, and for a moment, it looked like Pelops might actually win fairly.
Then the wheel failed. In an instant, Oenomus lost control, bringing the race and his reign to a tragic end. Myrtilus expected his reward, but betrayal awaited him instead, and his fate became one of the darkest legends in Greek mythology.
As Myrtilus drowned, he cursed Pelops' entire bloodline with his dying breath. A second curse, stacked on the first.
Generations passed. Pelops' sons, Atreus and Thyestes, inherited the throne of Mycenae and inherited the curse. The brothers were promised the throne would go to whoever possessed a golden lamb, a divine sign of the gods' favor. But Atreus' own wife betrayed him. She was having an affair with his brother and gave Thyestes the golden lamb in secret. Thyestes claimed the throne. Atreus had lost everything, his crown and his pride. But Atreus made a new claim, that the gods would prove he deserved the throne by reversing the sun itself, and impossibly, it happened.
Atreus reclaimed his throne. But reclaiming power wasn't enough. He wanted revenge, the kind that would echo through history.
Atreus sent word to Thyestes, "Come home. All is forgiven."
Thyestes believed him. He came home with his own 2 young sons, trusting his brother completely. Atreus served a feast to celebrate their reunion. It would become one of the most horrifying meals in all of Greek mythology.
When Thyestes finished eating, Atreus asked him to look inside a final dish, brought in separately, covered.
Atreus revealed that he had murdered Thyestes' own sons and served them to him at the feast.
This was the moment that gave rise to the phrase, a Thyestean feast, a symbol of the deepest betrayal imaginable. And before leaving the
2 curses were now layered on this family. A third was coming, and it would be the bloodiest of all, the Trojan War. And led 1,000 ships to war against Troy. But the wind...
A seer revealed the reason. The goddess Artemis demanded a sacrifice. Agamemnon's own daughter, Iphigenia. Agamemnon summoned his family to the camp under the pretext of a royal celebration. What awaited them would change the fate of the House of Atreus forever.
That the journey she had celebrated was not the future she had imagined. Silence settled over everyone as an impossible choice hung in the air.
The winds returned. The fleet sailed for Troy. But Agamemnon's wife, Clytemnestra, never forgave him for what he'd done.
For 10 years, she ruled Mycenae alone, and for 10 years, she planned exactly how her husband would pay for their daughter's death.
She wasn't alone anymore. She'd taken a new partner, Aegisthus, the surviving son of Thyestes. Together, they waited for Agamemnon's return. After 10 brutal years, Troy finally fell. Agamemnon was coming home, a hero, a conqueror, and completely unaware of what waited for him.
Clytemnestra welcomed him home with honors fit for a god. It was all part of the plan. That night, Agamemnon prepared for a bath, a moment of peace after 10 years of war. But Clytemnestra had prepared a trap of her own, a woven net to entangle him.
Clytemnestra killed Agamemnon herself. 10 years of grief and rage, finally released.
Clytemnestra and Aegisthus took the throne. The king of Mycenae, conqueror of Troy, was dead, killed in his own home.
Agamemnon's daughter Electra watched her mother rule from her father's stolen throne. She swore she would see her avenged.
Meanwhile, Agamemnon's son Orestes had been smuggled away as a boy to protect him. Now grown, he was coming home. He reunited with his sister Electra at their father's grave. Together, they made a pact. This is the moment where the curse forces an impossible choice. To avenge his father, Orestes would have to kill his own mother. Clytemnestra faced her ultimate reckoning, confronting the very son she had once tried to shield. Orestes had done what his family demanded. But the moment it was done, the ancient guardians of retribution rose to exact a timeless judgment. No mortal could escape their pursuit.
For years, Orestes ran, sleepless, hunted, driven half-mad by guilt and by the goddesses of vengeance who never stopped chasing him.
Finally, exhausted, he reached the temple of the god Apollo, the only place the Furies couldn't follow. Apollo sent him to Athens to stand trial before the goddess Athena herself. This was the first murder trial in Greek myth, and it would decide the curse could finally end. The vote was cast, and it came down to a tie. Athena herself cast the deciding vote. Orestes was acquitted. After 5 generations, the curse had finally been judged and broken.
Even the Furies were transformed, worshipped from then on as the kindly ones, protectors instead of punishers. 5 generations, 5 curses. A family that fed its own children, murdered its own kings, and hunted its own blood. And finally, it was over.
Today, the Lion Gate still stands in Greece, the only surviving witness to one of the darkest bloodlines in mythology. Every generation tried to escape the burden their ancestors left behind, until one descendant finally chose to confront it instead of fleeing.
The House of Atreus was never saved by the gods. In the end, it saved itself by finally choosing justice over vengeance. Every family carries a story it didn't choose. The House of Atreus chose, in the end, to end theirs. What would it take to end yours?